Assembly,
Yeah.
I mean, to be that panel about, the President of General Assembly.
Right.
Are you going to be there?
No. The United States will, my understanding, present a statement during the debate, probably in conjunction with several other countries. Groups of countries will present statements indicating our support for international justice, the importance of fair processes, the recognition that these tribunals don't involve and should never involve alleging that whole peoples or whole ethnic groups or whole political movements are responsible for crimes. It's individuals that are responsible for crimes, and those individuals should be held to account according to standards of proof, according to established law, and every time somebody is actually convicted, that sends a signal to the people in the rest of the community. It's not them that did these things, it's other people. So we think international justice is succeeding. It's challenging to establish reconciliation in areas where there have been historic divisions and distrust, but reconciliation needs truth, and one of the ways that it's established is in these trials. We also want to emphasize that what's happening at the national level is as important as what's happening in The Hague. And to some extent, what's happened at the national level is happening because of The Hague. And the Scorpions are prosecuted in Belgrade by my friend Vladimir Vukcevic, and others are prosecuted because of evidence that came out at The Hague. And when there are national prosecutions in Belgrade, in Zagreb, in Sarajevo, particularly when people are prosecuted for crimes against others, that's extremely important. And that's one of the ways I think that the ICTY is contributing to a process that's helping at the national level. But as I say, we'll participate collectively with other countries in this debate.
Okay, you're not going to.
No, I'm not.
Do you think that Mr. Yarevich maybe put too much politics on the table?
Well, I think when we were looking at the panels in the afternoon and some of the people that were called on, he'd asked a few people that are involved in these courts, but there were a great many people who start out with a very negative attitude and who seem to be called upon in order to attack the courts, and we wish those panelists had been more balanced. And of course, now with some of the people who were going to participate, the 1 or 2 out of 8 or 10 that might have been presented a more balanced approach, they're unhappy about the balance they withdrawn. Now I'm afraid these panels will be entirely one-sided, and I wish the approach had been much more open, that there'd been people involved with him from across the spectrum who could have called together the proponents and the critics, and we could have had 5 on one side and 5 on the other, etc., and people could have made up their mind. But the concern that Judge Marin raised about this being kind of stacked in order to deliver a particular message was unfortunate, and the date of April 10th concerned us as well. I mean, the horrors of World War II, of the Utashi government in Croatia, which we fought to defeat, etc., and those people that were engaged in the persecution of Serbs and Jews and others in Yugoslavia at the time are not people that we should be remembering, in my view, and citing something on that particular day. Of course, every date in the calendar has implications, but we thought that they might have picked a better day than that one, because we want to hold those people to account, and we don't want anything that sort of suggests that what happened recently has a relationship to that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm a journalist from Macedonia. I was going to ask you, our experience, we had only one person who sent us eventually from one side. Well, the ethnic Albanian commanders were 60% back. Sure. Can you tell me your view on this? I mean, there was no eventual persecution, the amnesty.
Well, obviously, we have cases that have been prosecuted against various people from the crimes committed during the wars in the Balkans, and I'm not. As a prosecutor myself, I don't want to go back and criticize particular decisions, but I do think that prosecutions at the international level should be limited to the most serious acts and to those that were the broadest pattern. But at the national level, there should also be prosecutions of serious offenders, and that should be done in a balanced way. And when there's a pattern of violations on both sides, then both sides need to be investigated and prosecuted. But these are decisions by prosecutors that in a democratic process based upon the rule of law should reflect that sort of broad view of the community. And we don't get into the individual decisions that are made, but it's always our interest in making sure that justice is fair, and it doesn't make it's not a respecter of ethnicity, nationality, religion. That those who do serious crimes should face justice no matter where they come from or what group they're associated with. Okay.